You are listening to the Manument Podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm here with my buddy Glenn Johnson, investment advisor and founder of Jabez Financial right here in the Uncasville area. Glenn, I want to chat about turning those retirement accounts into reliable monthly income. As you are nearing retirement, you might look at your nice 401k balance and say, okay, that's great, but now what? Well, that next step is critical, and we've got financial author Jean Chatzky on Morningstar recently talking about just this. Let's take a listen.
We did a great job at just banging the drum about the fact that people needed to max out, to pay themselves first, to contribute to their retirement account. What we did not do, what we're just starting to do, is to help people understand that they now have to reverse engineer the entire thing. They've got to take the money that they've accumulated and they've got to figure out how to turn it into a stream of income that's going to last as long as they do.
So talk to us about this, Glenn. How do you help your clients turn retirement accounts into a reliable monthly paycheck?
You know, it's funny. That's exactly what pension fund managers do. They accumulate these assets throughout your lifetime, but then they've always had the goal in mind of turning it into an income afterward. Mm-hmm. It's just like I talk all the time about how you don't go into any investment without an exit strategy. Mm-hmm. And there comes a point when you've got to realize the return of your investment. At some point, I mean, sometimes that return is almost immediate, and sometimes that return is decades away. But there comes a point when you put your money into something, at some point it's got to come back and pay you back. Now, when you start talking about creating income from your investments, the strategy is reversed. So throughout all those years when you're making contributions and you're paying in week after week, month after month, year after year, you're making all of these contributions going into your investments, and there is a specific strategy that goes along with it. However, when you start taking your withdrawals, the rules change. The rules change, and you need an entirely different strategy on how your money is managed when your assets are now paying you.
When somebody shifts from saving to now withdrawing, it's really not just a math problem that we're looking at. We're looking at a complete mindset shift, really. So how do you help people, Glenn, rethink their money so that they can confidently turn their savings into that real life retirement paycheck? Is that a process that you walk them through and help them shift from saving to withdrawing?
It's a huge paradigm shift in how you think, because a lot of times we'll measure our success by how well we're doing. And you know what? We can gain confidence in doing that for good reason, meaning we're saving month after month, we're watching our investments grow, we've learned more about investing, we've gotten smarter about it, and you've watched your assets accumulate again over and over and over throughout the years. And we start to identify with this is what financial success looks like by accumulating the wealth. But now I'm supposed to just turn around and watch all of that slip through my fingers and watch it diminish and watch it go away. Yeah, how is watching my accumulated wealth go down, how is that a successful approach?
Yeah.
So what people will do is they'll say, well, you know what? I've accumulated enough, so hopefully I can just live off the interest and I don't have to deal with watching my life savings diminish. Really, how do we get over that? We get over that by recognizing we want to honor our own life's work by using the funds for what they were intended for. You saved all these dollars all these years so that you could have an income in your retirement. So if you refuse to use the income, you're actually you're not honoring your original intention. So realizing that if you've saved money and now when it comes time to start using it, you're honoring your own life's work. As you're saving throughout all these years, recognize that your retirement isn't just a coin collection. See, collectors collect things because they like them, they want to have them, and maybe they have some financial value to them. But that's not the point. Collectors have things because that's what they want to have. That's not the point with retirement savings. The whole point is to be able to use your assets and convert them into a lifetime of sustainable income. It's the very foundation of your retirement, is that sustainable income, which is what those dollars were intended for in the first place.
And let's talk more about that idea of sustainable income. What does that really mean, Glenn? And what does that really look like in everyday life for a retiree having sustainable income?
A sustainable income is a check that you can count on. For example, whether it be a pension check, a Social Security check, or any kind of asset that is producing an income that doesn't have an end date, it's going to continue to come in throughout your lifetime. So it's having that peace of mind knowing that, because here's the point, as long as we're alive, we're going to need income. We're going to need positive cash flow for the rest of our lives. And it doesn't matter where that source is, where it's coming from. It can come from Social Security, pensions, annuity payments, massive assets in the market, income properties, business royalties. It can come from anything or a collection thereof. But the point is we need to be able to measure our assets not just by what we can sell them for, but by how much income can they produce. And that sustainable income throughout retirement, those are the kind of assets that we need to accumulate.
So we're talking about what a big, shift it is to go from saving our whole life to now withdrawing to now trying to create that sustainable income for ourselves. So I'm curious, when you see people first start pulling money out in retirement, where do you see them getting tripped up the most? What's the biggest mistake happening during that shift?
The biggest mistake people make is the assets aren't properly allocated when they start making the withdrawals. See, a lot of times they've used the stock market, they've grown their assets, now they start taking money out, but they didn't shift the allocation or they didn't start using different investment vehicles in the distribution years. Mm-hmm. So what happens when they start pulling money out of the market and then the market has a bad month, yet they still have to take their money out, their income out of the market. Now they're being forced to sell at a low. Well, if you're being forced to sell at any point when it's not a good time to do it, you weren't allocated properly in the first place. So a lot of times people will make their adjustments to their holdings sometimes a few years after they retire, after they've learned their lesson the hard way. Mm-hmm. See, the market's been doing exceptionally well ever since 2009. And so people are of the mindset of, why rock that boat? Everything's going great.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in the midst of retiring now or in the near future, or maybe you're currently retired, we can't just count on that wave riding it for the next 15, 20 years into retirement. We've got to change the strategy before we learn that financial lesson the hard way.
And some people are trying to DIY it when we know retirement is not a DIY project, right?
No, because let's look at it this way. All the information you need to make decisions is out there. However, all the information, you can be bombarded with all the technical data, all the financial insights. So once you have a relationship with somebody that you can talk these things out with, it gives you a whole lot more confidence going forward because you're not just left to your own devices in your own research. We can actually have a conversation, get to know one another, and then we can walk through some of these decisions together, and that way you can walk into retirement that much more financially confident. I invite you to give us a call at 860-288-9977, and let's have a conversation about what some of the concerns you have, some of the successes that you've had over the recent years, and make sure that your assets are properly allocated, that's going to give you the lifestyle you want to live going forward.
It all comes down to having that plan set in place, and we cannot stress enough how important it is to have the help of a professional to help guide you through that process, and that is exactly what Glenn has been helping people do for years. 860-288-9977 is how you get in touch with us. One conversation with Glenn can get the ball rolling towards a more confident financial future for you. All you've got to do is make the call, 860-288-9977, or online at jabezfinancial.com. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Manument Podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts so that you never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Investment advisory services offered through Jabez Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through Glenn Johnson Connecticut Insurance, license number 4628409. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Jabez Financial, LLC. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Jabez Financial, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Jabez Financial, LLC is licensed in your state, please call 860-390-0093.